This is Jake Pazicki with an ACT Science conflicting viewpoints question. Now this is one of those cool questions, you might not think it's cool, but I think it's cool, when you have to turn some kind of textual information into graphical information. In this case, they're asking you to use the information presented in the passage by both scientists to create a graph that represents the area's projected change in atmospheric carbon absorption and stream pH after the corporate planting of a new pine forest. So basically they're saying, hey, based on everything you read here, if we planted a new pine forest, which of the following graphs represents the change in atmospheric carbon dioxide, which is the darker line, and the pH balance of local streams, which is the gray line. And I'm sure you can see this much bigger on your screen, or if you're looking at the problem, you can see these graphs a little better. I had to shrink them down to fit them here into this video. So the first thing we have to do is see what scientist 1 and scientist 2 say about these two things. What is the expected change in atmospheric carbon absorption, and what is the change in stream pH after the corporate planting of a new pine forest? So let's look at the first one first, change in atmospheric carbon absorption. So the only time it talks about atmospheric carbon absorption is right here, where it says that there should be increased absorption of atmospheric carbon. So that's what scientist 1 says. So as time goes on, we would expect the, so if this is, let's say this is the level, I'm making a little graph here, and this is time. As time goes on, as we have this forest, we would expect the increase of atmospheric carbon to increase, and we don't know what that increase would look like. It might even eventually plateau if once it gets to a certain level as the trees hit their mature age or whatever, but we would expect an increase based on what scientist 1 says. And so now we have to look at the pH after the corporate planting of a new pine forest. So what does it talk about pH? And this is where, in this question, and this is a common thing that they expect you to know, you have to have some outside knowledge to know know about a little bit about the pH scale, and know that as something gets, so if we have the pH scale, as something, as it goes, and so neutral is 7, and as you go below 7 on the pH scale, that's the pH is decreasing and it's getting acidic. And as you go above 7 on the pH scale, pH is increasing and something's becoming more basic. And that's something you just have to know. And that is a common piece of information that they will expect you to know when analyzing these questions. So we need to see, is the same thing about the soil becoming, or the streams in this case, becoming more acidic or more basic. And what we see is that the acidic qualities of the pine needles make the streams more acidic. And that's what it talks about here in the passage. And so we can actually, if something's becoming more acidic, that means its pH is dropping. So if we have, let's just make a different graph here. So the level, or in this case, the level of pH, and over time, whatever pH that original stream level was at, we're expecting it to decrease over time as that pine forest grows, because it's going to be getting more and more acidic. It might plateau at some level, but in general it's decreasing. So now this is when we go to the key, and so we see the absorption of atmospheric carbon. This dark line is going to be increasing, which it does here and here. So we know that these answer choices are out. And we see that the level of pH should be decreasing as it does here, which means that this answer choice is out, which means that answer choice C is the only answer choice that makes sense, and that's our correct answer.